I told my husband, I'd pick my dog over you any day, then I lost them both. I sometimes wonder if I'd still have my marriage if I hadn't brought Diesel home that day. But honestly, that dog was the only thing keeping me sane in that dump we called home. I'm Tiani, 29, and this is how my husband chose a freaking trailer over our family. Everyone always says there are two sides to every story, but they weren't there living my life. They didn't see how lonely I was, how I felt like a ghost in my own marriage, how my husband, Dustin, was more committed to his rundown trailer and useless dreams than he ever was to me. And now? Now I have neither of them. Because in the end, I forced him to make a choice, and I never expected him to walk away so easily. Dustin and I got married 3 years ago. He had his warehouse job that barely paid enough, and I was hustling through retail shifts hoping for something better. When we first moved into that tiny trailer on the edge of town, I convinced myself it was temporary, just a stepping stone to something bigger. But for Dustin, it was home. He saw it as ours, something to build up, invest in, turn into his dream space. I saw it as a prison. I never planned on getting a dog. But the moment I saw Diesel, a scruffy black and tan German Shepherd mix sitting alone in that shelter, something inside me clicked. He was everything I needed: loyal, loving, protective. He made me feel safe in a way Dustin never did. When I brought Diesel home, I expected Dustin to be annoyed. I didn't expect him to be furious. "Tiani, we can't afford a dog," he snapped, rubbing his temples like I had just bought a new car instead of a rescue mutt. "It's not about affording him," I shot back, crossing my arms. "It's about needing him." Dustin just shook his head, mumbling something about priorities. But the way he looked at Diesel, like he was competition, that should have been my first red flag. For months, it was the same argument over and over. Diesel needed food? We barely have money for groceries, Tiani. Diesel wanted to sleep in our bed. "I'm not waking up covered in dog hair." Diesel barked at night. Maybe if we lived somewhere better, he wouldn't freak out over every little noise. Everything became about Dustin versus Diesel. And the more he complained, the more I pulled away from him. Because Diesel was always there for me. Dustin? He was just another source of stress. The night I said the words that broke us. I don't even remember what started the fight that night. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was the trailer falling apart. Or maybe I was just tired of feeling like the only adult in this marriage. But somewhere in the middle of all the yelling, Dustin snapped, "You treat that dog better than you treat me." And without thinking, I shot back the words that changed everything. "That's because he's more loyal to me than you ever were." Silence. Dustin's face went blank, his hands tightening into fists at his sides. "Are you serious right now?" he asked, his voice dangerously calm. I didn't stop. "Honestly, Dustin, if I had to pick between you and Diesel, I'd pick him. Every single time." The second the words left my mouth, I knew. I had crossed a line I couldn't uncross. And Dustin knew it too. The moment I lost everything. The next morning, I woke up to an empty bed. Dustin was gone. At first, I thought he had just gone to cool off. But then I walked outside and saw his truck pulling out of the driveway. With Diesel in the passenger seat, my heart stopped. I ran outside, barefoot, screaming his name. "Dustin, what the hell are you doing?" He didn't even look at me. "You made your choice," he said, gripping the wheel. "Now I'm making mine." I watched as he drove away, taking the only two things that ever mattered with him. I thought he'd come back, that he'd cool off and bring Diesel home. But he never did. Days passed. Then weeks. And then I found out the truth. Dustin had moved in with a friend in another town. And Diesel? He wasn't coming back either. Because Dustin had registered him in his name, claiming I was an unfit owner. And legally, I couldn't do a damn thing about it. I begged, I cried. But Dustin? He had nothing left to say to me. Now I have nothing. I thought I was so clever, acting like I didn't need him. Acting like Diesel was all I needed. But now I have neither of them. Now I sit in this empty house, scrolling through old pictures of Diesel, wondering if he even remembers me anymore. And Dustin? I heard he's doing just fine. found a better job, a better place to live, a better life without me. And I guess I deserve it, because in the end I forced him to choose, and I never expected him to pick a life without me.